Hey there, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Piano Man Steve Lungrin, founder of PianoManApproach.com and LearningMusicIsFun.com, creator of the Piano Man Approach online piano course. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be taking a look at a really fun and simple thing that you can do to enhance your piano playing in a variety of different settings. Real quick before we get into this video, just if you enjoy getting free content like this, I would sure appreciate it if you'd give the video a like, subscribe to my channel, and leave comments and share it with people. All that good stuff helps me beat the YouTube algorithm and get this work out to more people. And of course, check my links out down below if you want to opt in and get my my weekly updates. I put out free content like this every single week, and I put them in my blog, so it's a nice way to not have to sift through the ocean of content that is YouTube to find it if you like this kind of thing. Okay, now that you know all of that, let's carry on. So today we're going to be working with something that I like to call the magic money note to add to pretty much any chord that you're playing. And this is completely up to you. It's a choice, but occasionally it'll be written into the chord symbols for a particular song in, here and there it'll be in a chord. But it's something that I just sort of take the option to add to a lot of the chords that I'm playing, and it's called the added 9. So first of all, we want to figure out why on earth are they calling it the added 9 and what is it, right? So let me talk a little bit about that. If you take a look at a typical scale, which is where chords come from, they call it the diatonic scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the whole do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do thing, right? Chords are built off of different scale degrees from that scale. So out of that, you have the 1, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then theoretically you're back to 1, and chords are made up of 1, 3, 5. Sometimes it's a minor scale, and then you flat the 3, and you have your minor 3, but point is, it's based on scale degrees, what they call scale degrees. So what's the 9 if we get to 7 and we start over again at 1, right? Well, the 9 is the same thing as the 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? 9. Why do they call it added 9? Well, I'm sure that there are people out there who are better trained at theory than me who might have more to elaborate on this. But my understanding of it has always been that when you call it a 2, if you were to call it like a C2 chord, right, that indicates that you're playing C and the 2. And that's kind of all you're adding. You just play that 1 and 2. If you are playing a C9 chord, that indicates that you're playing everything below a 9, which it would include a 7. So like 1, 3, 5, and then your dominant 7 here, and then there's that 9. Okay? So that's a very distinct sounding chord. And it's thick. When you add the 9, what you're doing is you've just got a C chord, and you're slipping that 2 or that 9 in on it. And you don't have to put all that other stuff below it. Okay? Now, why do I call this the sort of magic money note? Well, this note, when you put that add 9 into a chord, it thickens the chord up in ways like you can't even believe how much more sort of elegant and sophisticated a chord will sound when you add that 9 into it as opposed to just leaving it as a regular major or a regular minor chord. So let me give you an example. Here's your C chord. Now let's put that 9, that added 9 in there. Can you hear how that suddenly that one extra note, but because of the placement of it in that chord, suddenly it takes the sound and makes it go, right? And there's a softness, there's an elegance to it. So it's a beautiful note to add to ballads, although you don't have to limit it to ballads. There's a lot of rockers where this can be a really effective note to add as well. But that's what I love, is that it's the simplest possible thing that you could do to enhance the chords that you're playing, and it has an enormous, enormous bang for its buck. Like, I use it all the time. And you can choose whether to put it in or not. It's just a matter of, does it sound good to you in this spot or doesn't it? Okay? Now, there's another way to apply it. One way is to just add it into the chord you're playing, like this. That D right there. But you can also decide to omit the 3 and only play the added 9. That's a different sound altogether too, right? But it still carries the chord. So what it's doing is it's creating a little bit more of a sophisticated sound for you. That's what I like. It thickens the sound, and it opens up a lot of what I call easy chord-based improv that sounds more sophisticated, even though it's not terribly sophisticated. Because you're here, and now all of a sudden it leaves you with all kinds of options for simple stuff where it's like you don't even have to move your hand from where it's at, but you've got lick and fill options galore that really sound nice, like arpeggiate up and back down. So we're playing along somewhere. One of those chords, I just played a C chord, and then an A minor chord, an F chord, and a G chord, and I added that the added 9 into all of them, and I just used a little arpeggio up and then back down. Right? Such a nice sound, and it's not, like I say, you don't have to move your hand, you don't have to do anything. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but instead of using the added 9, I'm going to use the 1, 3, 5 and see how much more like simple and sort of elementary it sounds. It's going to be the same rhythmic move, right? Excuse me, a little frog in my throat. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but instead of playing the added 9 in there, I'm going to play the 1, 3, 5. It sounds perfectly nice. There's nothing wrong with that. And you shouldn't be afraid to use the notes from the chord, just the regular 1, 3, 5. But boy, does it sound more sophisticated, it sounds like you really know something about piano that the average person doesn't know when you change it to. Can you hear that? Doesn't that have an amazing level up in terms of its presentation? It sounds more sophisticated, more elegant, And that's what I love about it, because it really is no more difficult to do that than it is to do this. Right? So it's a really, really awesome note to just throw into places. It works on major and minor chords, as I just showed. And then, as I say, you get to kind of choose when to put it in. Every once in a while, someone intended it and they write it in as an added 9 chord. But this is just sort of a fielder's choice as a piano player that you can decide to deploy anytime that you see fit. So let me give you some examples in music throughout different periods here. I'm going to play Let It Be by the Beatles here is one of my favorite ones to use as an example for improv stuff. I am not going to do anything except I'm going to basically make an entire solo out of just these 3 notes. The only thing I'm going to let myself do is I'm going to play these 3 notes, and I'm going to let myself do it in different octaves, okay? When I say these 3 notes, what I mean is the 1, the added 9, and the 5 of each of the chords. The chords are C, G, A minor, F, and those are the chords. So I'm going to go through this, and the only thing that I can do is I can jump and play them in different octaves, but I'm just going to limit myself to the 1, the 2, or the added 9, as you will. The 1, the added 9, and the 5 of each of the chords. And I'm not even going to let myself do anything other than arpeggio-related stuff, where I break it up and play the individual notes. Now listen to what kind of a nice solo I can put together with just that. So it's very powerful. Like, you don't have to limit yourself to things like that. But when you get these tools like this, I love the really super versatile tools like this one that you can use in music all across the spectrum. I mean, here's a great example of using it in something a little more understated. So just a few years ago, Ed Sheeran came out with a great song called Thinking Out Loud. And so it goes, when your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet, right? Da 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 da. Then the chorus is, honey, I will be loving you till 70, right? Okay, so it's a great tune, and it's very, very understated in order to do it. It's just kind of like chop, 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 right? Well, you tell me which one sounds better. Does it sound better on just a major chord? Da-da-da-da-da. Now, what does it sound like when I change that to the added 9? I swap out the 3 for the 2. Okay. When the legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet. Maybe every once in a while throw in just a little bit of something, and Like another one of my favorite things, if you're not arpeggiating, is to do a little toggling, which is where you play top part of the chord and then toggle back and forth with your thumb. So, honey, I will be loving you till we're 70. So it just is a really, really nice thing to be able to add into all different kinds of music. And so what I want to challenge you to do is whatever song you're playing and however you're playing it, whether it's an up-tempo song or a slower tempo song, whatever genre you're in or era you're from, because this works the same if we're going all the way back to, like the crooner days. Love is for L is for the way I look to you. O is for the only one I see. I can do the added 9 there or a major chord. So it's a fielder's choice. So what I want to challenge you to do is whatever you're playing, at whatever tempo, whatever genre, whatever era you're from, consider at least sometimes swapping out either the major or the minor chord to an added 9 chord. You can add the 9 into the full chord, like this, or like this if it's a minor chord. Or you can just remove the third altogether and only play 1, 2, 5. Try it out. See how you like the sound of it. You're not going to necessarily want to do it on every single chord. Sometimes you will like it. Sometimes you won't like it. The idea behind all of the tools that I try to teach are I want them to be transferable tools that you can put in any song, and I want you to be able to make choices in the moment that you're playing. I want it to be a fresh experience while you're actually playing the song, and for you to be able to reach in and say, oh, let's try this on. And if you like it, great. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. But it can be a spontaneous moment, right? It can be a planned moment, but it can also be a spontaneous moment. And so that's the thing. We don't just want to learn one song and say, okay, well, that has an added 9 in it. We want to learn the tool of the added 9 chord so that you can try it on in different spots in different songs and pick the places that you like best, because ultimately you're the one playing and you get to decide what stays and what goes and how it goes. You are the creator in that moment. So anyway, that's my magic money note that I use a ton in everybody's music because I just love the way it sounds, and it's a beautiful way to express through the piano. It works better on piano than maybe any other instrument that you can play chords on, because with piano you can choose how you're voicing it. You can always put it in the right spot so that there's plenty of space, so it's in the place that it's most satisfying. Whereas you can play added 9 notes on a guitar, for example, but with a guitar, the 6 strings are where they are, and there's sometimes limitations as to where that added 9 is going to be in the chord and what note it's going to be right next to in the chord. And so it won't always express itself as perfectly and as beautifully as it does on the piano, because we can choose to put it right there. That's my favorite voicing of it. It's okay here. It's okay here as far as inversions go, but this in root inversion with the root of the chord on the bottom and your pinky on the 5, that's my favorite version of it. That's what I think sounds the best, and I can choose that on any chord. That's a real advantage we have on this instrument of the piano. So anyway, hopefully this will give you something to play around with. See if it makes the songs that you like to play sound better to you. Because if it does, it's a success. And if it doesn't, well, you can ignore this one and watch some of my other videos instead, because maybe a different tool is going to be the one that really helps you take your playing to another level. Okay? Again, please check out the links in the description below. We would love to have you come join us and be part of the community at the Piano Man Approach. There's some free goodies over there for you, but mostly I just really appreciate that you're tuning in and watching this free content here on YouTube. We do it every Friday. It's the Free Lesson Friday series. So check my channel, come back on a regular basis, and remember my personal mantra, guys. If you're not having fun when you're making music, you're doing it wrong. And I'll see you on the next one, folks. Piano Man Steve signing out for now. Bye-bye.